Please note, the information shared in this video is strictly for educational purposes and should not be considered financial advice. Lead Network Academy is not affiliated with or sponsored by the Nigerian Stock Exchange or any stockbrokers referenced. Always do your own research before investing.
So first of all, we'll answer the question, why do you want to invest? That's the first question. Then the next thing is, we will know what is the stock market all about. We'll look at that. Then we'll look at key institutions and players in the stock market. When we are done with that, we'll try to differentiate things that are quite common. The first one is savings, trading, and investing. Then when we're done with that, we'll look at the benefits of stock investing. Then more importantly, it ought to be quite practical. So we'll look at opening a brokerage account and CSCS account. Then very importantly, this part you should take it very seriously because it's going to guide you a lot on how you invest. It is choosing the right stocks for beginners. What kind of stocks should a beginner invest? Because I know that's one thing that most persons that are here wants to know. Because for some people, Prosper, tell me this stock to buy. Prosper, buy this stock, buy this stock, buy this stock. That's what some persons want to hear. But for me, my aim and my goal is, as we conclude this class, that you'll be able to independently conduct research by yourself and choose stocks to buy. That you don't need to be a genius to invest. You don't need to have all the knowledge in the world to invest. What you just need is to have the right orientation. The common reasons people invest to build wealth, then to earn passive income. The over 500 million that I mentioned that Warren Buffett earned from Coca-Cola, and remember, it doesn't run Coca-Cola. And the person who is the CEO of Coca-Cola doesn't earn up to that amount. I doubt if the person earn up to 10 million in a year. But an investor in the company is earning 500 million US dollar. Then attain financial freedom. It's also very important. Then investing help you beat inflation. If you are in Nigeria and the world generally, you know that there has been hyperinflation. Things are so expensive that if your 1,000 naira yesterday is no longer 1,000 naira today. If you own 10,000 naira in 2023, your 10,000 naira, what your 10,000 naira in 2023 can buy. If you take that into if you take that 10,000, it will not buy a quarter of what it could be. So that's inflation. So then the next thing that you should take note of, why people invest, they want to diversify their funds. And now here's how this works. So for instance, you are a businessman, you are into fashion business, and through your fashion business, you've been making a lot of money from the fashion business. God has helped you, God has favored you, that you have been building. That's your business to an extent that the business can sustain itself. So the next question usually you ask yourself is, okay, where do I put my money next? And one of the best places you can do that is in the stock market. The stock market affords you the opportunity to invest in any industry that you want to invest in, be it the energy industry, be it the banking sector, insurance, fast-moving consumer goods section, whatever section. So that's what the diversification opportunities that investing affords you. A stock market is a place where people buy and sell ownerships in companies. Yes, how the stock market basically works, just an explanation. So take, for instance, you're running a fashion business. Initially, you may have started with funds from your savings, maybe from borrowing from the bank, then maybe from friends and whatever. But at a point, you feel like, okay, I really need to go into production of fashion wares, maybe your own tailor-made factory or whatever you want to set up. So at that point, you were like, okay, for me to do this, I may need to raise at least 100 billion naira, for instance, in quotes, to start it. And one of the best places that people raise funds from is in the stock market. Now, how does it work? In the stock market, the promoters of a company or the people who own a company, they will go to a stock exchange. In going to the stock exchange, okay, they say, okay, this is our business. This is what we want to do. These are our ideas. This is how much we are projecting. This is what we are earning. We want the public to give us 100 billion. So they'll put their stocks. Usually this process is what they call IPO. So with the IPO, the public will begin giving the company money. So at the end of the day, maybe let's say 1 million people are able to raise this 100 billion naira. Remember, if you borrow money from the bank will have to meet you to receive the money. But in the case of the stock market, what they do is, once the company has taken this money from the public, they will now list those shares in a stock exchange. So the idea of listing the stock in the stock exchange is this. So if Mr. A had given the company, let's say 100 million naira, he will not have to go back to the company to take that money. What he would rather do is, he will look for, because the stock exchange, it brings people that want to buy stock and people that want to sell stocks together. He will look for somebody who wants to buy those stocks that he owns. Instead of going to the bank, he will just sell the stocks to the stock exchange. Then the stock exchange will automatically, their technologies that connect the buyer and the seller. They'll connect it to somebody that needs that particular stock. Then in exchange, the other person has his money. So the company will now have a new shareholder. So that's the idea. So initially, he had owned 100 million, but today he may be owning nothing because he has gone to the marketplace where people buy and sell ownership in a company. So that's the idea of the stock market. A clear illustration is, for instance, you have a loaf of bread. A loaf of bread can have up to maybe 50 slices of bread. So Mr. A owned one slice, B owned one slice. That's basically how it works. So the stock market, or owning a stock, is like, it makes you own a small piece of a company's stock, or a little piece of that company, just like a person will own a little piece of a bread. That's how shareholders own little piece of the company. What right does owning a piece of a company give you? It affords you the opportunity of having dividends from the company. You may have bought the stock at 1 naira, the price could go to 5 naira, 10 naira, 20 naira. Then it also affords you the opportunity of voting. You become a decision maker in the company. So where the company is having their annual general meeting, which they are mandated by law to have, you can vote and make decisions for that company. I noted here that buying a share is like buying a slice of bread. You don't own a loaf of bread, but you can own a piece of bread, and when it grows or pays out, you get your share of the profit or of the dividend, whatever the dividend is. So the key institutions and players are the Nigerian Exchange Group. That's the marketplace where stocks are listed. And in Nigeria, the stock markets in Nigeria that we have the Nigerian Exchange Limited. We have Nigeria Association of Stock Dealers, NAS, that's what they call it. Then you have FMDQ. These are the major stock markets we have in Nigeria. So the one that is more popular is the Nigerian Exchange Group, NGX. That's what is here. Then another key player is the Securities and Exchange Commission. They are the regulator that protects investors and ensure fair play. So if, for instance, you want to open an account with the broker must be registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Where the broker is not registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the broker does not have the license to operate in the Nigerian stock market. Then the next people that are quite important is CSCS. CSCS stands for Central Security Clearing System. The role they play is they are keepers of records of who owns what stock or whatever at what point. So that is why if you want to open a stock account, you will be given a CSCS number. They also have what they call CS clearing house number. So you'll be given that. You must have that before you will be able to operate in the Nigerian stock market. Then the next people are stock brokers. They are the licensed middlemen. They help connect the buyer and sellers of stocks. Then we also have stock registrars. So the work of the registrar is they help compile all these stockholders, shareholders of a particular company. Stock exchange and almost practically every day. Right now, stock registrars are mandated to enter the name of any shareholder in the records of the company within 2 days. It was initially 3 days. Then the next question is saving, trading, and investing. Savings, we all know that if your money is in a savings account, your money is basically just there. Interest may not grow year in, year out. Almost nothing is coming from it. For trading, what a trader does is the stock market, though Nigerian stock market hasn't gone that level, but if you're familiar with forex trading, for instance, now the trader is someone who enters and come out of a stock market or of a market. He just enters and come out to take advantage of little difference in movement of prices. That's what the trader does. So if today price was 10 naira, the trader will enter at 10 naira. Then his aim is to come out when immediately the price hits 11 naira. The aim of the trader is to take advantage of the price difference. So a trader doesn't necessarily have the opportunity of being paid dividend because he's not in the market for a long while. For an investor, he buys the investment for a longer term. So the investor can own one particular stock for years, for like 10 years. You may be surprised that for the first set of shareholders of Berkshire, that's a company owned by Warren Buffett, they have held that stock for 50 years, some for 60 years, for 70 years. That's how the investor usually operates. Benefits of stock investing. I'd mentioned this earlier in the question of why are you investing? The benefit basically is it allows your wealth to grow, capital appreciation. And I give an illustration of Boa Foods. Boa Food was listed in the Nigerian Stock Exchange, I think on the 22nd of January 2022. That was when it was listed. And the price it was listed was 40 naira. It was listed 40 naira. Take note of that. In 22nd January 2022. Now, as at when I prepared this, the last time I checked here was 629 naira. So if you had bought one unit at 40 naira, that one unit had grown to 626 naira, 2022 to 2025. And the truth here is, apart from putting your money there, you have not done any other thing. It's just for you to put it there and keep it. If that money was in the bank, 100,000 naira, I don't think that 100,000 naira, 50,000 naira would have even been added on top of the 100,000 naira. But imagine how your wealth can grow, it being in the stock market. So, benefit of stock market investing is it allows your wealth to grow over time. Then the next thing which you should take note of is passive income via dividends. Apart from the fact that you did nothing and your money is growing, you also now have passive incomes through dividends. So when Zenith Bank, they reported their half year, that's from January to June 2025, they made a report which they are mandated by law to do, and their profit after tax was running to 600 billion naira. That's what they made. And of that money, I think about 70% of that money came from interest income. See how much they are making from interest income, yet what they give out to people who deposit us is very minute. They also declared a dividend of 1 naira 25 kobo for every share of Zenith Bank that you own. So if you own 1 million, you are getting 1 million without doing anything. That's passive income. So you get that. Edge against inflation. I mentioned the issue of inflation before. So usually inflation is something that most time we cannot avoid. So by owning stock, your stock can outgrow inflation. Currently, the inflation in Nigeria, I think, is around 30% or so. There are stocks that are running 100% from January to December, from January to September right now. Some stocks have increased by 100%. So if you had invested in those stocks, your money in those stocks are now like edge over inflation. So you are beating inflation. The stock can rise with economic growth. So as the economy grows, stocks can equally rise. We will now be moving into opening a brokerage account. It's not really a difficult process. Here are what you will need to open a stock brokerage account. One, you will need a valid ID. And I must say this, when you're opening your stock brokerage account, most time it is best that when filling your name, fill it as it appears in your ID. Don't use different names so that there will be issue of mismatch. If you have 3 names on your ID, use those 3 names. If you have 10 names on your ID, use those 10 names. Then you also need a utility bill, and usually the utility bill usually must not be older than 3 months. The essence of the utility bill is to prove your address, that this person is living in this particular place. Then you also need your BVN. For instance, if you had opened an account with Bamboo before, once you put your BVN, most time it brings out your information. That was one of the things that it was doing then. Then you also need a bank account. The essence of the bank account is where your dividends is paid into. So when dividends are being paid, they automatically pay them into your bank account. You don't usually need to do anything. You'll just be sitting there and you will receive a lot. So for instance, people that own Zenith Bank shares now, on the 10th of October, for every 1 unit of Zenith Bank shares you own now, you'll be paid 1 naira 25 kobo. Now 1 naira is small, but assuming that you own 100 million of those shares, you will now see that it's big. So don't expect that you will be earning like Jim Ovia overnight. Don't expect that. And when you see, for instance, Prosper sharing on his status that Rabiu, the man who owned Bua, in 216 billion naira, don't expect to be like him overnight, because it takes time. That's basically the truth. But you have to put yourself and condition your mind in such a way that, you are in this game for a long ride. You have to condition your mind. So the next thing is using a licensed broker. Like I mentioned when I was talking about the role of Securities and Exchange Commission, is that their role is to act as regulators, while NGX is a marketplace for stocks. So brokers are like your gateway into the stock market. They must be licensed and registered with SEC and NGS to protect you. If tomorrow someone says I'm a stock broker, if Prosper claims to be a stock broker, know that is Prosper licensed with Securities and Exchange Commission? That's the question that you have to ask. Then the other thing that you have to do as you choose broker is you must compare their reputation, the experience, technology. Now, the part of technology is quite important. So take, for instance, one of the reasons then I choose AfriInvest is because of their app. It was so easy for me to open account with them. Then fees and commission. So you may be seeing slight difference in the fees and the commission. If you may ask, how does the stockbrokers make money? They make money through the fees and the commission that they charge. So for every trade that you enter, tiny amount is taken as commission. Sometimes when you pay money to your account, they will remove tiny portion of the money as fees and commission. Then you should also watch out for customer support. Are they good in customer support? People that are good using Twitter, you can go to Twitter and search for their history. You can go and look at the reviews on Google Play Store, Apple Store. Look at those reviews and see how, before you pick a stockbroker, do not use unlicensed apps or agents that are not recognized by SEC. Some of them will come and say that, we are licensed by SEC. But remember, you have to do your independent research by yourself on the NGX website. You can check brokers that are licensed. And if they are not meeting up to that, at a point, they become inactive. So you will see that all of that on the list on the NGX website. Here are some popular licensed platforms in Nigeria that you can use. For instance, you have Stanbic IBTC stockbrokers, ARM Securities. So their platform they use, ARM Securities, called ARM1, ARM1. That's the platform they use. Then you have AfriInvest Securities, Meristem Securities. Today, it's become even far easier right now with Cowrywise. I believe many people here may be using Cowrywise. Before this year, what Cowrywise was known for was for savings and mutual funds. For Cowrywise, you can now buy and sell stocks on Cowrywise. Here's what Cowrywise did. Cowrywise entered into a partnership with Meristem. So when you click on buying securities on Cowrywise, Cowrywise routes your trade or the trades through Meristem. Then lastly, opening CSCS account. I had mentioned earlier that for you to be able to invest in the Nigerian stock market, you will need to open a CSCS account. Usually when you are opening stock brokerage account, they use those information to open a CSCS account for you, because like I said, you need it before you can trade in the securities market. CSCS is like a depository of all shares that are publicly listed. The CSCS is like a storehouse, choosing the right stocks for beginners. As a beginner, the question that always pops out in your head is, how do I know the right stock to buy? What is a good stock to buy? These are questions that will pop up in your head. As a starter, one of the places to start from usually is to those companies that you identify with, companies that you use their products daily. You can basically start from that. So what makes a good stock? So the good stock is one from a strong and reliable company with a proven track record of stability. It often pays regular dividends, providing steady income to investors, and operates in sectors with clear growth potential and consistent demand. Take for instance a bank. The unbanked population is still huge in Nigeria. So the implication of that is that there is still a marketplace for banks, and a lot of banks are also going outside Nigeria. They are going international. Strong and reliable companies. They are well-known companies with history of stability. Now, this information are easily publicly available. You can get it through the company's website. So take for instance, if you are lovers of tea, take a company like Cadbury. These are products that you use every day. You can conduct a search about this company. Okay, how do they make their money? Aside from this product, what other products do they use? If you look at our homes right now, you will see one company that you can invest in. Take for instance, you use cream. One of those companies that produce a lot of cream is Unilever, UAC. These are companies that will use their product every day. I give the example of Zenith Bank, MTN, Nestle. Take a look at MTN now. I'm connecting to this call via MTN data. I know a lot of other people here are using MTN data. So these are products that we use every day. So beyond me saying this, you can go to MTN website. Then when you go to their website, the part you look out for is the investor relation part. Almost every publicly listed company has an investor relation part. So once you go to that part, you now look at, sometimes they summarize that, for this year, this is how much the company has made. This is how it is different from what the company made last year. It is safer for beginners because they are less likely to collapse. According to Warren Buffett, he said there are 2 rules of investing. One is never lose money, and the second rule is don't forget rule 1. So when it comes to investing, it is important that you protect your money. And how do you protect it? Is to invest it in an investment that is quite safe, that your money will not go down the drain. Then the second thing is dividend paying stocks. Remember, we had mentioned that one of the reasons why people invest is because they want to earn passive incomes. So this passive income usually come through dividends. So if that's one of the reasons why you invest, that means you have to invest in dividend paying stock. Still on their website and some investment tools platform, you will see a dividend history. And one of the things to watch out for is, okay, has this company increased its dividend over the years? Take Bua Food for instance. Bua Foods paid 5 naira as dividends for 2023. In 2024, it paid 13 naira as dividends. So you may watch out for that. The next thing to look out for is clear growth potential. You don't want to invest in a company that has reached its peak and doesn't want to grow. You also still have to do independent research for yourself. One very important platform for you to do that is Nairametrics. Recently, Femi Otedola mentioned that that's one of the most reliable source of news, that where he gets his news from. So you may look at that. A lot of us here know how dominant BlackBerry was. At a point, pinging was the thing. But because of issue of growth, because of not being able to identify where the market was moving, they lost track. The number one thing in technology when it comes to the world right now, yes, AI. So I'm a lawyer. One of the fears that a lot of people have today is, will AI take my job as a lawyer? If a lawyer A had 100 customers before, or clients, they are called clients, and he doesn't make use of AI, lawyer B, who makes use of AI, is able to deliver faster results within a short period of time. So it would take the place of any lawyer who doesn't use or doesn't understand or appreciate artificial intelligence. So also is a company. So an example is Microsoft. Microsoft is one company that has been ranked as one of the top 10 companies for over 20 years period. One of the reasons this has happened consistently is because of its ability to adapt to changes. And this you see with Microsoft partnership with OpenAI. And aside from that, they quickly incorporated Copilot into their productivity packages. I'm using this to explain the clear growth potential. So if you see this happening, you know that, okay, this company may survive in the next 5 years. Then another point to notice, strong fundamentals, healthy financials, their profits and revenue growth over time. How much they earned in the last 2 or 10 years, has it been growing or is it dwindling? All this you still find information mostly on their website and on NGX platform as well. Then easy to understand. You must invest in businesses you know and interact with daily. Your bank, your mobile network, the products you consume, they will not go away tomorrow. They may be here for some time. I know Starlink is competing with them right now. They are also trying to adopt and innovate. So these are things that you consider when choosing a good stock. That's strong and reliable, dividend paying, clear growth potential, strong fundamentals. Then the business must be easy to understand. Sectors to watch in Nigeria. Remember, it's choosing the right stocks for beginners. The first one we mentioned here is the banking sector, telecommunication sector. So the likes of MTN, then Airtel, these are the major players. Then consumer goods sector. Almost every one of us here, we use cream, we eat sugar, take drinks, noodles, and all those are consumer goods. These are things that we do. So these sectors are sectors that produce food that we use or items that we make use of daily. So an example of companies that operate here, you have Nestle Nigeria, Dangote Sugar, Nigerian Breweries, Boa Food, Unilever, Calvary. Then you have the likes of USC. These are just examples of companies that operate in this consumer goods sector. So they are fast-moving consumer goods. These are things that. Then another sector, which for me is quite important, is energy and utilities. Or you see a company that is into solar, that is listed in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. If the company has been expanding, you could know there could be this opportunity here because Nigeria has energy challenge and they are solving a need which almost every Nigerian is suffering from. Then we have the insurance sector. I must make mention of the Insurance Act right now. There are a lot of new policies, recapitalization. It's making insurance stocks to go up higher. So these are sectors that you may need to look out for. Example of companies here, you have AXA, Mansard, you have ICO, the likes of Cornerstone, you have Mutual Benefits. These are some insurance stocks in this sector. Then lastly, you have agricultural sector. One of those outstanding stocks in the past 1 year is Okumo Oil and Presco. They moved from around 200 naira to almost 1,500 naira within a period of 1 year. Agriculture, that's they are into palm tree and palm fruits, that's their business. So you have Ila Lakes as well, it's also into agriculture. They have one FTN Cocoa, it's also into agriculture. These are companies that you could watch out for as a beginner. Start with the sector you already use daily. I have to emphasize this again. Still choosing the right stocks. Now we are looking at stock analysis. The way people look at stock majorly, they look at it as fundamental analysis and technical analysis. With understanding this technical or fundamental analysis, you are able to grasp what the company does. You have a better understanding. So when you're downloading those financial reports, you're not just having a big book or PDFs to use, but you know where to watch out for. And what are those things to watch out for when you look at fundamental analysis? The first thing is their earnings. How much do they earn? So you have what they call EPS, earning per share. So for every share of this company, how much do they make from every share? For instance, if the company stock is 1 naira per share, how much are they making from that 1 naira? If it's 10 naira per share, for every 10 naira that you invest in that company, how much are you making? This is what the earning per share would tell you. So you have to take note of that. Then revenue growth. How much sales do they make? Are people buying their products? What they made this year, is it as much as what they made last year? What's their trend? Maybe in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years, in the last 30 years, you have to look at that. PE ratio. This is comparing their price and their earning. Like if you divide it by this, what's the value you get at? They also look at the dividend history, doing fundamental analysis. Is it a company that pays dividend? Don't they pay dividend? Do they pay this year and they don't pay next year? Those are factors that you look out for. Then debt level. Is the company heavily indebted? Do they have people that are owing them money? These are information that you watch out for. And like I said, this information, you can easily have them on their website. So if you have interest in the company, so you are having interest in MTN, go to MTN's website, go to the section that is investor relation and search for their financial reports. You'll find this information there. So the last part of this is technical analysis. This is what technical analysis does is it look at the chart of a company. Okay, is it up or is it down? What's the pattern? You try to study the patterns of movement of stocks. So there is what they call roof, there is bottom. The idea of the roof is if the stock move to a certain price, usually it comes down. So it doesn't maybe go above that price and it doesn't go below a certain price. Usually that's how the studying and understanding chart basically work. Then the next section is practical rules for beginners. As you look at the technical analysis and do stock analysis, focus 70 to 80% on fundamentals. So the fundamentals also involve the economy of the country where the company is located. And an example here is a Donald Trump presidency could have one effect. Then, for instance, the coming election, maybe threat of violence or whatever could have effect on the Nigerian stock market. Maybe they elected one person that is thinking backward and the stock market knows this. So because of that, people begin to remove their money from the stock market and the prices will fall. So those are some factors in fundamental analysis. In plain terms, buy good companies, not just good charts. So even if the chart is so good, look at the company. Also pay attention to stock market analysis too. So these are the places where you may be having information and reliable information. So the first place I mentioned here is Nigerian Exchange Group. You have Nairametrics, Business Day Nigeria, ProShare Nigeria, Trading View. So on Trading View, you'll have the dividend history of most of the companies. So pay attention to Trading View. Then company investor relation pages in their website. Then press releases on NGX, then Yahoo Finance. The last section here is golden rules for beginners. If you don't understand how a company makes money, don't put your money there. Everyone understands banks, loans, that they make their money through loans and deposits. Then telecoms, they make their money through airtime, data. These are ways they make their money. They are safer for you as a beginner. So as you progress, you may feel like, okay, let me go and do something, look at other sectors. But for now, stick to those sectors that you understand. Then as you grow over time, you may be able to look at other, maybe riskier investment. Thank you very much.